Now, toward the end of the first year of life, many new cortical developments occur. From 8 to 15 months, the brain undergoes a massive pruning of synaptic connections in which unused connective possibilities are culled. Such pruning occurs several times during childhood and is probably related to qualitative leaps in affective and cognitive organization. At around 9 months, the infant becomes able to manage much higher levels of pleasure and excitement, particularly in intense dyadic contact with the mother. From 10 to 13 and a half months, a strong heightening of positive affect and a lowering of negative affect is observed. Now, neurologically, this elation reflects the development of dopamine circuits from the limbic system into the orbitofrontal cortex, which comes online. The orbitofrontal cortex is the center to the linking of externally experienced events with internal states and feelings. The right lobe of the brain, primarily related to emotional processing, is larger and has much stronger connections into the limbic system than the left one. This right brain maturation allows the toddler to form an inner schema of the different emotional expression of the mother, linking their inner sensory and emotional responses. At the same time, the infant begins to have a sense of time or temporal coherency, allowing formation of a experience-based representation and expectancy of future events. This is used to guide their actions. In other words, the orbitofrontal cortex is the center of object consistency. Hopefully, their mother will be the same person they were yesterday that they are today and tomorrow. And they identify with having this sense of safety. However, the maturation of the complete inner schemata seems to depend on the development of high levels of dopamine excitement in the relationship. And it may be disturbed by both insufficient arousal and by hyperarousal. With insufficient arousal, toddlers' representations remain more primitive and are piecemeal. Hyperarousal, on the other hand, is thought to lead to unmodulated rage responses. Unstable interactions during this time can lead to dysregulation of these systems, disturbing self-confidence in the child's ability to relate in the environment in healthy ways. If the inner schemas become associated with continual power struggles, self-confidence may be contingent upon seeking high arousal and being in control. Okay, now this graphic shows the increasing influence of the frontal cortex systems on emotional regulation as the child continues to mature. Reward systems become more sophisticated and are mediated by cognitive functioning to a greater degree. Overpowering and/or seductive interactions, however, can lead to faulty reasoning and impaired cognitive schema, resulting in a mismatch between reasoning and planning and appetitive rewards. This mismatch can result in chronic affective hyper or hypoarousal, as well as deficits in the child's confidence for getting their needs met in a harmonious manner. Often the child uses or tries to compensate for this mismatch by attempting to over-control situations that seem chaotic and unstable. Oh, by the way, you don't have to stress out on trying to memorize this graphic. It's just getting a general idea is all that's needed here, unless you're a neurophysiologist. Having experiment oneself as being loved in a resource-secure environment, the infant feels confident enough to move with expansive curiosity into the environment, utilizing increased independence via newfound physical mobility, and in the environment exercising their will. The infant may be perceived in all of a sudden from becoming just something laying in the cradle and now something that's moving around is too threatening by parental egos, which may then respond with seductive manipulation or overt control. The child soon learns to play the game of power, predicated on the emotional premise that to expose one's feelings directly is to court vulnerability to seduction. In other words, if I express my feeling of distaste for eating spinach puree, then that could be used. If I don't finish my spinach, then I don't get a nightlight. So I'm careful about the feelings that I expose that may be used against me. What ensues is a struggle between the emerging independence will of the infant and the ultimate parental control of rewards, especially those of direct physical contact. Two formative dynamics can be embedded in the relationship to the mother. One is mother as manipulator. In other words, one who induces the child to believe in the ability to manage by himself or herself, denying the infant's helplessness, or who is afraid of it and ignores any neediness and weakness, focusing only on the strengths. In this stage of basic reality testing and subsequent modification of inner beliefs, the mother does not help to test reality, so the infant maintains grandiose or unrealistic images of self and abilities. Another dynamic can be that the mother is both overexcited by the accomplishments and over-identified with the infant. Rather than being with a containing, sharing, and regulating mother, the child is met with an escalating excitement that overwhelms, causing the child to lose track of internal feelings and activity in the surge of maternal affect and contact. The child then begins to avoid contact with the overstimulating mother and, in the absence of regulating contact, forms a more insulated system of inner states and emotions. Driven by the inner dopamine high, the child dives into the sympathetic excitement and intense absorption and denies the organic needs that would lead the child back to the mother, about whom the child is now ambivalent. The somatic holding pattern of the inspirational leader structure includes the following: tense legs, a tight pelvis, and a lifting of the whole body up by the shoulders. The gaze is magnetic and the manner engaging. The child may be described as having energy displaced upward and tends towards motor and verbal activity. Falling reflexes in the arms and shoulders are just beginning to become active, and the arms and shoulders are used to keep balance as well as to handle objects and play with people. The child is up in his own body and fascinated with getting up on high things like climbing stairs, chairs, kitchen counters, or even a refrigerator, often to the horror of the parents and caretakers. The social charisma, excitement, and varied language babble are also typical at this stage. The developmental challenge is independence versus closeness. If I get my way, then others lose. If they get their way, then I lose. The power struggle. The central conflict which emerges is not just who wins, because there is also the danger of winning too much, and that is the loss of closeness. Thus, my independence seems in opposition to my ability to be closer to others. If I submit to their will in order to make peace, I'm in danger of becoming a pawn in their game of life and sacrificing my own independence. The basic belief then becomes that to give in to feeling is weak, and the corresponding reaction to stress is the need to control, rise above, and or be seductive and manipulative themselves. So two subtypes characterize this pattern: the overpowering and the seductive. The overpowering type strives to win directly by subjugation of any opposition to its will. Through manipulation, it may be the initial way that they deal with all relationships. The physical presentation suggests an inverted triangle with a muscle-bound upper body, with a head and shoulders disproportionately large and a waist narrow. Legs tend toward the spindly. The gaze is compelling and powerful, with eyes watchful and distrusting. Feelings are denied even to the self, and the infant must be over-vigilant and controlling for fear of falling down and being victimized by the parent again. This fear becomes predominant in the psyche and elicits violent defensive responses when triggered. Let's look at what this looks like when the child becomes an adult. So the overpowering inspirational leader theme shows the body structure of a man with a muscle-bound upper body, compelling eyes. The upper body is disproportionately large. The eyes are powerful and compelling. The base of the skull has marked tension. The shoulders are large and rigid. The pelvis is rigid, undercharged, and held in. And the legs are more of the type beforehand, the empathetic nurturing. They're blocked and thin. The second pattern is more charismatic and seductive, using charm and wit to gain control. The body type is more evenly proportioned, with smooth features and perhaps flabby, rather strongly defined muscles and a hyperflexible back. Beneath the surface is a solid layer of tension and fear, which is resistant to closeness, much less penetration. The head-body split is more pronounced with this structure. So let's look at the inspirational leader seductive type. With this theme, as I said, there are even proportions with ingratiating expression and mannerisms. The face is soft and innocent, intriguing. The back is tight. The pelvis is highly charged but dissociated, a jerky quality. The body has even proportions. Now, both types display an easygoing social facade, leading to immediate likability, although of a superficial nature, since self-disclosure may be unlikely within relationships. The head is held high with an active pelvis and a blocked middle. The head energy is hyperactive and then collapsing with energy armoring in the chest and the heart area, which is congested and split off. Emotionally, these individuals find it hard to experience the self just as they are, and are uncertain about whether they can have their needs met in a straightforward manner. Hence, they do overpowering or manipulative maneuvers. There's a difficulty in showing vulnerability for fear of being denied, being deeply wounded in the heart area. Verbal denial and explosions of controlled rage can happen. So now let's look at the drawings of how you go from the less integrated to the more integrated in this theme. In the integrated state, individuals with this theme possess leadership qualities that help them rise above the situation and take charge without losing touch emotionally with themselves or those they lead or serve. They're strong, attractive, energetic, exuding confidence with an ability to act skillfully in emergencies. They're able to let down and admit their vulnerability when appropriate, as well as accept the support of others. Being in touch with their feelings is owned as a strength rather than a liability. They can seek positions of leadership in the world without needing to dominate, but lead from their heart. These qualities are valuable in the world of commerce, business, politics, and indeed in all service-oriented professions. The early family dynamics for the inspirational leader may include a mother's message is that your feelings and impulses are dangerous. And the father's message is, I'm safe when I'm in control. Let's try on this body posture now. So I'm going to ask you to say to yourself while you puff up your chest and rise above, I'm in control here. So just take this posture, puffing up your chest, rising above, and saying, I'm in control here. Now, notice your breathing as you do this, because this body theme is quite different than the two before it, where people were having difficulty with taking a full inhale. They had a collapsed chest or a frozen chest. This one, the chest is puffed out. So the challenge here is on the exhale, being able to let down. Now let's try the seductive, unintegrated inspirational leader theme. So with this one, you can smile and greet others pleasurably, but superficially, while saying to yourself, I'm in control. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, let's do lunch sometime. Yeah. Have your people call my people. Okay. So I know that appears phony, but for some people, that's their way of life because that's what's safe for them. So the power struggle in relationships is demonstrated by Sherry and myself in the next video clip with the prototypical unintegrated inspirational leader relationship dynamic. I'm right and you're wrong. So let's view this video clip. This next exercise is wonderful for the inspirational leader theme. If you can play with it, all of our role playing, of course, is just that. We're doing exercises, we're playing roles. But if we lend ourselves to it, some real energy can come out of it and some real feelings can be there. And this is what we're looking for. It's not performance, it's not who can be louder than who. It's about the feeling that we each can come away with that is our gold mine of life energy. There may be judgments about those feelings. There may be judgments about even the words that we're saying. But if we can own them and we can take the inhibition and the prohibition away and just experience life energy, we have gained a whole larger playground in our life. So Sherry and I are going to play with, I would say, the prototypical relationship exercise in Inspirational Leader. I'm right, you're wrong.
I'm right, you're wrong.
I am right, you are wrong.
I am right, you are wrong.
I am right, you are wrong.
I'm right, you are wrong.
I am right, you're wrong.
I'm right, you're wrong.
I am right, you are wrong.
I am right, you are wrong.
No, you don't understand. I'm right, you're wrong.
I'm always right, you are always wrong.
Oh, I am right and you are wrong.
You are so wrong. I am right.
I'm right. You're wrong.
You are so wrong. I am right.
I am right. You're wrong.
No,
Get it?
no, I am right and you are wrong.
Okay, now that that's settled, we can see where the... I noticed myself stopping to breathe when I did that exercise. And that is not the way I'm trying to demonstrate it. I've just noticed that that energy has some charge on it. So keep breathing when you do the exercise. Notice even watching it if you were able to keep breathing. So I'm asking you to role play this exercise with me right now. See how much you can let yourself go in doing this exercise with me and have fun with it. I say have fun with it, not to blow it off or just to make it a joke, but keep some lightheartedness around it. Otherwise, we can go back into the terror of our parents arguing, so we're looking to reprogram some of those old scripts which would freeze us. A loud voice or someone making assertions towards us. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to make eye contact with the camera right now. And after I say to you the phrase, I'm right, you're wrong, you say it equally as forceful or more to me. I'm right, you're wrong. I will repeat it a number of times in various unintegrated inspirational leader ways, and you always come back to me with your version of I'm right, you're wrong. Okay? Let's try this together. I am right, you are wrong. No. I am right, you are wrong. Now, maybe you didn't hear correctly. I'm right, and you are wrong. I am right, you are wrong. I am right, and you are wrong. Look, this game is set up for me to be right and for you to be wrong. What? Okay, for the last time, get it clear. I am right and you are wrong. Okay. Now, let's say a normal and a healthy response would not to passively accept all of that kind of control. And so even if some unkind words came out, that's great. Again, what we're looking to do is to open up some of the circuitry that was shut down or overplayed. And so it becomes traumatic. You're using the neurological terms of hypoarousal or hyperarousal. Hypo means under, we just go into clamming up, or hyperarousal, well, you get red in the face and we start screaming and throwing things. Okay. So even though we're role-playing, it can resonate with relationships you've had or have or witnessed perhaps in scary ways in your life. So this is not to try to manufacture feelings, but notice them and any judgments you have about them. What would it take to be able to do this exercise pleasurably? So breathe and see if you can trace the origins of where your feelings and or judgments around this come from in your history.